It is the honor of GCMS to introduce our keynote speaker, Sergeant Garret Anderson, a retired sergeant of the U.S. Army. Sergeant Anderson was an infantryman in the U.S. Army and was stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky from October 1998 to October 2001. While serving in the Illinois National Guard from January 2004 to June of 2006, Sergeant Anderson was deployed to Iraq from May of 2005 to October of 2005. Please welcome Sergeant Garret Anderson.
JFK was quoted, "How did you become a hero?" He goes, "It's ironic, they blew up my boat." I could say the same thing. I turned right instead of left. October 15th, 2005 was a day that changed my life and the life of the people around me. On that day, I was deployed to Iraq. I was in Iraq about 6 months, and we were on a normal mission. It was about 04 in the morning. I can remember looking at the sunset and saying, man, I don't remember the last time I saw a sunset. At that point, we got a call to go to a possible mortar landing. And the infinite wisdom of the military, they sent us to where the bombs just landed. So we go to where the mortar landing. It turned out it was an ambush. We went there. We were a 3-truck convoy. I was on one side. We had another truck. When we went to leave, because there was nothing there, my life changed. A bomb exploded under my truck. All I knew at that point was my training, was that I needed to close ranks on the enemy. Well, I could not find my rifle. When the air cleared, my arm was severely lacerated, my jaw was broken, and I had a traumatic brain injury. The Army jumped into action at that point. My guys in my truck pulled me out of the truck, put a tourniquet in my hand. Within 5 minutes, we were at a level 3 cache, and the last words I heard was, "Get out the bone saw." And the only thing I knew was my wife was going to be really mad. I woke up at Walter Reed Army Medical Center, which was one of the greatest experiences of my life because I met some of the greatest heroes of our country. How could I be upset at my amputation when I saw soldiers rolling down the street with double and triple amputations? These guys were true heroes. These guys sacrificed more than I did. Me and my wife set a standard at that point that we are not going to let my injury define me. I was going to define my injury. From that day on, because we knew if we let this injury define our life and the projection of where we were going to be, we were going to let the enemy win, and we weren't going to do that. We had 8 months of brutal and of rehab, and everything we could do at Walter Reed to get out of Walter Reed. What was ironic was at the time I was in Iraq, my wife was in law school, which was the greatest first 6 months of our marriage because we didn't live together. So we spent 8 months at Walter Reed recovering, getting better, and then I decided to come back to Illinois and start our life, start the new normal, which is different for our veterans nowadays. The new normal is much different than what it was before they deployed. So I started the normal. I knew my goal was to graduate from college. So I started college at Parkland College to get my undergrad. Things weren't the same as they were when I was there before. I wasn't retaining the information the same way. I wasn't learning the same way. I couldn't remember the same things. Realized that my traumatic brain injury had a bigger effect on me than I thought it would. So I had to find the new normal again on how to learn and how to educate myself. From Parkland, I went to Illinois State University, and I graduated Illinois State in 2010. I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. Now, me and my wife are full of good decisions and full of bad decisions. And while we were at Walter Reed, we decided to have a baby, which was hard because she was in law school, I was just injured and recovering, and so we thought it would be great to just throw one more thing on the fire and have a baby at the same time. But now I have 2 children, a 10-year-old Skylar and a 7-year-old Alex, and they are the light of my life. So I keep moving on, I keep driving forward, and every time I become to a challenge and a adversity, you have to go past that. A challenge in adversity will truly test who you are and what you're going to be in life. If you get to this challenge in adversity and decide to quit, then that's it. Then that defines who you are. But if you can pursue and move past those, then you've won, and you're going to be a bigger and better person. My life's full of adversities. God didn't put me on this earth just to sit back and play PlayStation. He put me forward to help other veterans. So that's what we do. We took this mission and we took this area and we ran with it. So we keep doing this, and then about 3 years ago, I talked to Jean Driscoll. She's a Paralympic wheelchairless, and she goes, "We're starting this new thing at the University of Illinois called the Center for Wounded Veterans." I go, "Center for Wounded Veterans? Well, what do we do there?" She goes, "Well, we're going to educate our new generation of veterans." I go, "Well, okay." So we have a $14 million building at the U of I strictly for veterans, to assist veterans and get those veterans on and further on with their life. We have a 14-bed facility in the top floor. So now all I know is that every time we come to a challenge, every time we come into adversity, you move past that. Life is not going to be easy. That's why it's called life. You know, every time you get on the ball field, every time you get to a test, if you're tested, that means you're pushing forward. I'm very fortunate. I'm very lucky. I serve with some great people in my life. I get to speak to great people like you guys who are true Americans. I'm very fortunate just to be here. I look at the veterans down here and think these guys are the who set the standards for me. These guys are the guys I look up to because they were there before I was there. And they had a lot worse than I did. At least I had air conditioning. Iraq was fun. Iraq was okay. But when you're in Iraq, you deal with the mission. And that's how we live our life now. I deal with the mission at hand. Every day is a mission for me. How can I benefit the guy behind me? How can I push the agenda or what needs to be better for this next generation? And that's how you need to live every day. What can you do? And a key to that is, a huge key to that is surrounding yourself with people that are better than you so you can strive to be a better person. If you strive to be a better person, then you're going to be a better person. I don't know how I ended up here. I was just a small farm boy from Bellflower, Illinois, but I'm very blessed to be here. I wasn't the greatest athlete. I wasn't the smartest kid in school. But I tried every day. And I want to thank you guys for everything and every opportunity you guys gave me. America is the greatest country on earth, and I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.